Hello, everyone. How you doing? Oh, you know what it is, right? It's like on this thing here. Whenever I come on, see how all the words on the books are the wrong way around. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Let's see if I can do this live. Look at that, as if by magic. See, they're all the right way now. That's the way it should be, isn't it? Hi, here I am in my sporty gear because I've been. I went to the gym this morning and then I walked the dog. Then I came home to do this. And the place was utter chaos. There were workmen everywhere. We had a gas leak, which is now repaired. We're not going to explode. We had a gas leak, so people were here to fix that. The builders were here because the kitchen's still going on. It was all utter chaos, and it didn't happen. And then it got to now, and I thought, well, I could do it now, but it feels a bit odd. But I thought, no, well, why can't I do it now? Why can't I do this now? Why does it have to be on a morning? And so I'm doing it now. So there you go. So I'm having a canny day. They've all gone now. That's all done. We're all safe, and things are moving on with the kitchen. I've walked the dog. It's all been good. Things have got done. Things have got done, and it's one of those things, isn't it, in the workplace that sometimes though we work all day, and we get to the end of the day and we feel that we haven't achieved anything. And I think this is quite a common feeling. It's certainly a feeling that I don't remember. I don't have as much now, and I'll explain why. But certainly back in the day, when I was a social worker, maybe in the early days of being a lecturer, before I kind of had my systems up and running. And remember, we fall to the level of our systems rather than rise to the level of our goals. James Clear, Atomic Habits. So yeah, one of those days where you just kind of you do bits and stuff all day. I call it many tasking because, as you know, multitasking isn't a thing. So I think I've created this word. I've not heard anybody else use it. So when you've got lots of bits to do, you're not doing you are doing them one after the other. You're many tasking because multitasking is not a thing. You got to be doing two things at once. All right, okay, yes, you can do something that's using the automatic part of your brain. So you can have some music on in the background and you're consciously aware of that, or subconsciously aware of it, maybe even, but you're focused on a task. Now, yes, we can do that, but we can't focus our cognitive space, our actively cognitive space. There's the dog. Hello, dog. You can't focus that cognitive space on more than one attentional tasks or attentional targets at once. That was the dog shaking. Having a little shake. Oh, yeah, well, it's just gone back to bed. So, so the reason I think sometimes that we spend all day doing stuff, but we don't feel as though we get anything done. The clues in the kind of in one of the titles there in the YouTube live, and that is that we sometimes spend a lot of time in manager time. And the place we do our jobs, the place we get things done is in maker time. And the modern world, as we operate in it, requires us to be both managers and makers, managers of our time, managers of the resources we have at our disposal, managers of the throughput of our work. But also we're required to kind of do things. We're required to write that report, deliver that lecture, create that spreadsheet, meet with that supplier, whatever it happens to be. We're still required to do those making things. But we spend a lot of time in manager time because, and I think the biggest problem often that detracts us from the maker time and moves us into manager time is the way we do emails. Now, I'm repeating some stuff here, but I was talking to Sheila yesterday. Sheila, my friend at work, because she was delivering a session for me, and it was great to hear her speak about a subject that she's passionate about. And so it was interesting to hear her talk, and we were having bits of chat about all sorts of things, and she watches some of these. So hello, Sheila. And I said, oh, I feel as though I just repeat myself all the time. And she said, maybe that's not a problem. So Sheila says it's not a problem, and if it's good enough for Sheila, it's good enough for me. So emails are the problem, and the problem with emails is their manager time, aren't they really? Because when we are responding to emails, we're not making something. We're not doing a task, doing a job that results in some sort of output of some description. We're definitely in manager time because we're managing the incoming work, we're managing getting stuff off the back, maybe we're managing responses to people. Nothing gets created for the most part with emails. But the way we do our emails, often in places where email, I'm talking about office environments here, those or knowledge environments, is that we do them in between everything else. So we keep dipping in from manager time to maker time, manager time to maker time. And sometimes in between the emails, we'd be doing manager stuff as well, making a phone call to this person, making a phone call to that person. Maybe, tidying up this, tidying up that, just managing. Because I do really think that in the modern workplace, most of us are managers of information a lot of the time. And if we're not careful, we spend a lot of our time in manager mode rather than in maker mode. David Allen also says, which is a similar vein, we can't plan and do at the same time. The reason is these things take different attentional parts of our brains. Our brains need to be activated in different ways when we're planning and organizing, managing, and when we're actually immersed in our deep work. And deep work is where the business of producing whatever we produce, a lecture, a report, a productive meeting, a productive supplier engagement, a useful timetable, whatever. All of those things, they're happening in maker world. So we have this kind of schism between maker world and manager world where we have to inhabit both. But we end up inhabiting the one that actually gets less done because of the throughput of work. So we've got to be disciplined. So we've got to divide up our time, mark it off, and do the manager time for the length of time we've decided to do the manager time for, and then move into maker time. And this takes a bit of tweaking, takes a bit of kind of thinking about how long do you need for your emails, how long do you need to get your emails to empty on a morning, or at least down to under a page, although empty's where we should be at. How long do you then need maybe sometime later in the day? How long do you need at the end of the day to do that? And then in between, get into the maker stuff, because the maker stuff is where you're going to feel as though you've done stuff. But if you potter on all day just doing this bit and that bit and the other bit, little 5-minute tasks, 10-minute tasks, if that's all you're doing all day, you're going to not have the same feeling of accomplishment. I do understand sometimes suicide, it's like, hang on, let's have a couple of hours and get all this stuff out of the way. And I think when you do that, I think you move into maker time, because what you're trying to do is make an environment by saying, right, I'm going to spend this morning getting all of these little jobs out of the way. I think that's different. It's when we dip in and out of maker time repeatedly, in and out of manager time repeatedly, and we don't get to good blocks of maker time. We're only going to be good at making stuff if we've got big blocks of time to do it in, because it takes, I was reading somewhere, I don't know whether I agree with this, but I was reading somewhere that when you get into a deep work tunnel, can't remember where this was now, when you get into a deep work tunnel, it can take you somewhere like 20, 30 or even 40 minutes to get really up to top whack productivity, where you're in the zone and you're focused. It was a book about flow I was reading. That's right, it was an article about flow. It can take you 20, 30, 40 minutes to get into that state of flow. Now, if every 20 minutes or 30 minutes you dip out of maker time and go into some manager time, you're never getting up to full speed. But if you can find it in yourself to do an hour or an hour and a half, I find, I don't know, it varies day by day, but I find, I can do 2 hours some days of immersed work. Some days I can't. It's an hour and a half or it's an hour. Research varies on this. Lots of research says 45 minutes to an hour. Some research says longer. So we're kind of in this. We need to figure out how it is for us, and get into that maker time for a considerable length of time to get that impetus, to get moving into that flow state, so that we can make the things we make, write the reports, be productive in that meeting, all those kind of things. We need time to kind of get going and get started. I personally think that the more you get into the habit of doing that, manage your time on a morning for about an hour, maybe do some manager time emails and planning and phone calls, and then get into making what I think you get up to speed into the maker phase more efficiently. I think I do that more efficiently now. I think I can, probably because of meditation and a mindful approach, I think I can get into that state of flow quicker because I kind of practice getting into that state of flow. So there you go. Make a time, manage a time. They're two separate things. They require two different parts of your brain to be activated. Well, not two different parts of your brain. They need different configurations of your brain to be doing them. You can't plan and do at the same time. So in the morning, manage a time, planning time, then make a time. And then maybe on a lunchtime, you need some planning and manager time. And then maybe and then a maker time on the afternoon, planning and manager time on an evening. And then every day you will feel as though you've nudged along all the little jobs, but also you've achieved something. And I think that's part of the puzzle of how to be happy in the workplace, is to feel as though you've achieved something on a daily basis. That's a huge motivating force. So there you go. I'm going to go have my lunch now. Hey, I've normally had my breakfast before I do this, but now I'm later, so I'm going to go and get my lunch. Have good Wednesdays, have good Thursdays. Hopefully connect with you on Friday. Take care.